Hello again, back so soon. I've just watched through what I've said a few minutes ago, and just felt that I wanted to clarify one or 2 points. And the first thing I've written down, of course, is Tom Fallon. They do so at their peril. Never occurred to me quite how much of a direct threat that was. But anyway, get back to that in a minute. I mentioned about Dean and Jerry going on this world tour, and some people have criticised them, A, for cashing in, but B, for waiting till now to criticise the legal system, and in effect, why not have criticised it much earlier? Well, obviously, I suspect because they are part of that system. You don't go shooting yourself in the foot. And why have they only just now started to speak out for Steve and Brendan? Again, it is purely because of the platform that they've been afforded through Making a Murderer, and I certainly wouldn't criticise them for anything that they've done since Making a Murderer has come out. And indeed, I congratulate Jerry for continually going on TV and having to confront the most vile creature that ever roamed this earth, Ken Kratz, and share a television studio with that offensive creature. But as I say, I'm sorry to go on about this. It's a little bit like probably like Eric Ozee and his obsession with the control question. But I'm going to go on about this business of the civil suit, and why on earth did Glyn and Kelly walk away from it? Again, Tom Fallon, they do so at their peril. I think it's perfectly clear that those people below the Attorney General and the Assistant Attorney General are told in no uncertain terms that you can represent your client, but you do so at your peril if you start causing problems higher up the food chain. Because, as I say, why did Glyn and Kelly walk away from that civil suit? They had everything going in their favour. They were just about to get Kucerik and Vogel on the stand, and had that civil suit been concluded, had it gone to its natural conclusion, then no judge would have ruled in favour of the defendants. They would have had to have ruled in favour of Steve. Steve would have ended up with a multi-million-dollar compensation. He could have afforded a whole team of attorneys, and as some people have pointed out, attorneys from outside, from both within and outside Wisconsin, so that there was definitely no chance of these attorneys from outside of Wisconsin ever being made to feel threatened by the top dogs up there in Madison, the Peg and Tom Fallon. But the problem was that they did accept this $400,000 paid to them via the insurance, but it meant that Steve could not use the wrongful conviction as his defence, and that, of course, completely tied Dean's and Jerry's hands in trying to form a defence for Steve. It was incredibly difficult from then on. One of the things that myself and Eric Ozee have sort of exchanged thoughts over is the author of the book Beyond Avery Road, Beauty and the Beast, a certain Mr. Chad Keller. And I appreciate that Chad Keller has divided opinions. In his defence, I would say that we have somebody who's willing to ask awkward questions, who has pursued the truth relentlessly on this. As I say, he was also wrongfully convicted, spent 4 years inside for something he didn't do. Unfortunately, he was exonerated and compensated. And I appreciate, that to some people, he's no angel. Now, who does that remind you of? Wrongfully convicted? Not an angel? Ever heard of a Stephen Avery? Stephen Avery is no angel. But he didn't deserve to be treated the way that he has been. And certainly not, obviously, poor Brendan. And as I say, Chad is prepared to ask the awkward questions, and I congratulate him on that. And whether or not, like so Jerry wants to answer some of the questions that that Chad raises, maybe, as I said, these are questions that need to be asked and answers demanded once a second inquiry is set up, once a second commission, a proper commission this time, is set up. I think personally there's no doubt, well, certainly Kathleen Zellner does have a copy of Chad's book, and there's no doubt that Kathleen Zellner will be well aware of the situation. As I'm pretty sure all of the lawyers in Wisconsin know the situation. You do not go pointing the finger higher up the food chain. You don't take that risk until there is some sort of safety net there. So we just have to wait and see what Kathleen Zellner will be coming out with later on this month. But as I say, we do need to look a little bit more closely at exactly what Tom Fallon means when he says they do so at their peril. To me, there's no dubiety. It's quite clear. Maybe some of the lawyers, they have this sort of unwritten code of ethics that they don't go standing on each other's feet, that they don't they're part of a fraternity, and sometimes they do get a bit of a bad press, because as some people pointed out, in America, lawyer is simply another word for liar. But I do believe that there are some honest lawyers out there. I just feel that for some of them, that they were threatened and coerced themselves, and it was made absolutely clear to them what they can do and what they can't do. And so, as I say, once Steve and Brendan are released, then we do need this second commission, and possibly it needs to be along the lines of truth and reconciliation. There might even, although it might not be very palatable, there might even have to be a certain level of amnesty offered, because otherwise then it might be very difficult to get people to be honest about the goings on. And I know that might not, as I say, be palatable to some people, but you have to ask yourself the question: do you want corruption to continue within Manitowoc and Wisconsin? And surely the answer is a resounding no. Anyway, I think I've kept you far too long today, and so I'm going to say cheerio, and I'm looking forward. I think that Eric Hosey might be having another guest on his channel very, very shortly. I actually wrote to him earlier today, and I did check out the analytics, and apparently on his YouTube channel he has nearly 2,000 subscribers. But when you total all of his Making a Murderer videos together, they now have very, very close. It's something like 499,700 views. So he is very, very close to the 500,000. And I think that speaks absolute volumes for the dedication and hard work of Mr. Erekose. And I know that he enjoys a bit of banter, as I do. So that's never going to stop, by the way, Erekose. But on this occasion, well done, pal. You're doing a fantastic job. To Jerry, why don't you get in touch with Erekose and offer to Skype him and put your point of views across? Everybody in Making a Murderer land would absolutely love to hear from you. Why not? You know, Erekose is one of the most fair people you could possibly come across. Too fair sometimes, in my opinion, but that's a Scotsman speaking now. Why not Skype him, have a chat with him, and put your point of view across? As I say, I think we can quite accept if there are certain questions that are too sensitive and awkward to deal with at this particular moment, they need to wait sometime down the line. But surely there are a lot of things that you could tell us or expand upon, or if we've got certain things that if we've got misconceptions, then please put us right. Bye for now.